Well, this morning I'm really excited to be playing sort of secret agent. So check this out.
I lived a double life for years. To my friends, I was Bob Mazur, a federal agent. To the underworld that dealt with me undercover, I was Bob Musella, a player in one of the most violent Colombian drug cartels on earth. I've committed more crime than many people sitting in prison for the rest of their lives. The good news is I was authorized to live that life of crime by the U.S. and several other governments.
Wow, pretty incredible, right? So please welcome former DEA undercover agent Robert Mazur. Good morning, Robert. Now, we have your face hidden, so kind of explain to our viewers why, since you're retired, we still need to be doing that.
Well, while I was working undercover, I was working with the most violent drug traffickers on this planet. And it was reported to me by two federal agencies and an intelligence agency that there was a threat against my life. And so for that reason, since that time, we've just taken precautions.
Are you like in the witness protection program? I mean, how big of a precaution do you have?
No, I'm not in a witness protection program, but needless to say, I'm not going to go into any kind of details, but,
right.
but there are certain things that are done in order to give me a little bit of protection.
All right, so kind of tell us a little bit about your backstory. How did you get started in this business in the first place?
Well, I started working in federal law enforcement right out of college. I was a federal agent for 27 years, and the first 14 years I worked in the traditional sense, working with search warrants and informants and wiretaps, but we were focused on trying to identify and prosecute the leadership of the Medellin cartel. Ultimately, we realized that the most effective way to do that was with a long-term undercover operation, and I volunteered to be a long-term undercover agent to assume a role as a mob-connected money launderer, working out of New York and Miami primarily. And I was trained in undercover work. I was mentored by some of the best undercover agents that ever did this type of work before me, and ultimately spent about 18 months putting together what I think is one of the more sophisticated fronts that have been used in undercover. I had a completely new identity. I was embedded within real businesses, an investment company, mortgage brokerage business, air charter service, jewelry chain, even a seat on the New York Stock Exchange in a brokerage firm.
Wow. You talked about, you know, all this danger, and I was kind of talking with your wife earlier. What kind of a strain and how much worry does that put on your family, and, you know, and how did she handle that? What was your life like at home?
Well, during the height of the operation, I was probably gone for 30 days, a month or so at a time, and come back for a day or so. And I think my wife and I were friends before we even started dating, and I think the relationship between us enabled us to be able to get through this whole. Nobody really gets through this type of assignment and this type of work without some impact on their lives. There are a lot of very brave men and women, much braver than me, who continue to this day to do this type of work. And part of the reason that I wrote a book about this is to share with the public the fact that there are people who are willing to do this. And by no means am I any individual hero. There were probably 250 people behind the scenes helping to keep me and my partner alive during the course of the undercover operation, and all of them had very dangerous assignments.
Now, how have you seen, you know, these cartels evolve? We kind of talked a little bit about social media. Is that coming into play nowadays as well with that?
Well, in current years, oddly enough, there are some people who have, especially within the Mexican cartels, that have started to use Facebook and other social media to brag about their involvements in drug cartels. I can tell you that I dealt with the highest of the high and most powerful people, and I was in meetings where people talked, while working undercover, talked about some of the members of the group drawing attention because of their loud activities. Maybe they're drinking excessively. Those people were targeted for death. If anybody within the groups that I dealt with ever went to social media to brag about their involvement in the cartels, they wouldn't be doing it very long.
All right, really quickly, Robert, running out of time, name of your book and where people can find it.
Oh, the name of the book, I'm sorry, is The Infiltrator. And you can find information about it at the-infiltrator.com.